Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, today I have Kayvon Tucker on the line, and he's founder and CEO of Consciously. Kayvon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
All right, Kayvon. So excited to get into your story and also the Consciously story and really why you founded it and how you're adding value to the marketplace. But before we do that, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So Kayvon, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Kayvon, what mission matters to you?
Well, thank you. The mission that matters most to me in my leadership of Consciously and in my life is the conscious co-creation of a new earth. And what that means to me and why we're so focused on it Consciously is that we know that when leaders show up, their most conscious selves, their most aware selves, they create more positive outcomes for themselves, for the people around them, and for the planet. And so Consciously is on a mission to support leaders in that conscious co-creation. And we believe that when we all are fulfilling our purpose, we create more good. And so Consciously is centered on supporting leaders in all the variety of ways. That's through leadership coaching, executive coaching, fitness coaching, nutrition, sleep, all the things that help leaders show up the best. That is what Consciously wants to do to support this conscious co-creation of a new earth.
Where did you come up with this idea for Consciously? Like, where did all this begin?
This all started with my wife and I. So my background's in industrial organizational psychology, and through that work, I bumped into leadership development. My wife's background is in mental health. She's a licensed clinical social worker. And what we realized just through our conversations is that there is a connection between leadership development and mental health and well-being. And that connection is self-awareness. And we learned that through my work and through her work that when people consciously focus on becoming better leaders, they have to develop self-awareness. And the same goes for people who come to her or come to other counselors who want to heal and feel better. The way to do that is through self-awareness. And so we used self-awareness as kind of the offspring for what Consciously is today. And it's in that where we have this foundation of self-awareness, call it consciousness, where we create everything that we want to see in this world. And when we do that and we do it on purpose, good things happen.
What does it mean to consciously lead? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, to consciously lead means to lead on purpose, to lead at choice. You know, the converse of that is what a lot of leaders, not everyone, but a lot of leaders do, which is react. Something happens in the news or something happens at work or someone responds to you in a way that you don't like and you react without thinking. What we want to support leaders to be able to do is to react on purpose or to respond on purpose, to consciously lead, to say, hey, I see this person reacting to me in this way, and then ask a question. How do I want to respond? How do I want to be during this time? What are the values that I want to drive my leadership? What are the values that I want to drive my behaviors at work and at home? That is essentially what it means to consciously lead, is to be aware of who you are, how you want to be experienced, and to move your life and your leadership in that direction.
What type of companies you typically work with? Is this for large companies like enterprise only, middle market, small businesses? Like, give us a flavor for who you serve.
Yeah, right now we're fortunate that we have a pretty diverse client group. So I have some client groups that I support at places like Google, Netflix, Amazon, some of these places I've worked at, Facebook, Tesla. So my wife supports leaders in these spaces. We also support some smaller tech startups. I support a couple of CEOs and smaller tech startups as well. But we also really want to support and are supporting a few nonprofit organizations. And the idea behind this is what we really want to do is we want to work with leaders who are in high impact positions. So our belief is that for us to fulfill this mission of ours, to consciously co-create a new earth, we have to work with the leaders who are leading high-impact organizations, leading organizations that have an impact on the way that we connect with each other, the way that we work, the way that we see our world moving. So that means working with leaders in tech. That also means working with leaders in social impact and social-oriented organizations. Ultimately, we want to be able to connect these leaders. Because from my wife's background and my background, we know that these leaders aren't necessarily in the same social circles. And a part of Consciously Mission is to bring these leaders together so that together we can all create the world that we want to see.
So you mentioned some pretty big companies that you've helped and support and work with their leaders. As you kind of introduce your methodology, your coaching, and you kind of get in the weeds with the organizations. And I don't want to stereotype. I know every organization is going to be a little different. Every leader, every person's unique. But I know that themes many times tend to arise when you're working with different leaders. What are some of the things that or the ideas that you feel kind of give those aha moments where you walk into that room or you're coaching and they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it this way. Like what are some of the things that you teach that kind of give those aha moments?
Yeah, the first thing, and this isn't necessarily an exhaustive answer, but the first thing that comes to my mind is another thing that Consciously focuses on, which is leadership wellness. What I realize is in my work with, this is from CEOs all the way down to individual contributors, is that what keeps people and leaders from showing up and being their best selves, being the most effective leaders that they can be, is that they're not doing well. They don't feel good. They're either tired or they're overworked or they're nearly burnt out. And so when you're tired or you're not feeling well, it's really hard to be your best self. It's really hard to make good decisions, right? Most poor decisions in organizations are made by really tired, overworked leaders. And so a part of my work centers on helping leaders show up as themselves, which often ends up meaning like, you got to take care of this body of yours, right? The brain is connected to the body. If the body is tired, so is the brain. So I want to support leaders to use all their faculties, use all their resources to show up really well. Another theme that pops up is directly connected to what we're doing here as well, which is around like authenticity and purposeful leadership. Most leaders I talk to, and this is, I might meet someone who's in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. They don't have their own leadership purpose. They don't have a clear picture or an idea for how they want to be leading their lives and leading their organizations as a reflection of that. Most of these leaders show up and do a job that they're told to do in the best ways that they know how. And instead, what I support leaders to do is really center on, okay, well, what's the big picture for you? What's the legacy you want to leave behind? How do you want to be experienced every time you step into an office, every time you step into a meeting? And what's important about that for you? And how do you use those answers to guide your leadership? That's the really powerful work. So I'd say maybe 60 to 70% of the leaders that I get to work with, their first, we'll call it a phase of coaching with me, is really centered around purposeful or authentic leadership. It's really showing up, being your most purposeful or full self.
So I'm a huge fan of coaching, of professional coaching. I just feel that I've always gotten so much out of it. And most of the network and people that I, talk to that have participated in different forms of coaching, most people that have gone through it, in my opinion, really, they get a lot out of it. But for those maybe that have never gone down that path, or that's something they've always considered, but it's just, not been a priority, or for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. In their journey yet. Not judging anybody, but what would you tell them? Like, what would you say to those that maybe haven't explored, some type of professional coaching or anything like that? Like, what would you tell them?
Yeah, we have to admit it, it's a luxury. It's a privilege. And it's one that many people don't think they can afford. I would invite folks to consider what it is that they want out of their leadership in their life and whether that thing is worth investing in. It's been my experience that most people who go through coaching for the first time have no concept of what's possible in coaching. And so they might set a goal and then we blow that goal out of the water ahead of time. And they're like, oh, shoot, well, if that's possible in 3 months, and what's possible in 6 or 12 months? So we begin to set bigger and bigger goals, and the leaders that I support achieve more and more and feel better and better about their leadership. So it's a difficult thing if you've never experienced it because you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. What I would ask every leader who's listening right now is to think about what they want more than anything else in their lives. That is a great goal for coaching. And that can be something, leadership at home or leadership at work. At Consciously, we consider both. We consider both to be very, very important. I'm in the business of helping people fulfill their leadership purpose. And that often is bigger than their day jobs. It includes their day jobs, but it often expands outside of that. So really, what do you want your legacy to be? And how much do you want to see that legacy come to fruition? Those are the questions that I think everyone has opportunity to answer.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Kayvon, I just have to say it has been great having you on the show today. I really enjoyed learning more about Consciously, your mission, and really how you're helping the marketplace. I just have to ask, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Consciously?
Yeah, for Consciously, we are centered on developing a collective of leaders who span a number of different specializations. We're bringing, like I said before, we're bringing in coaches, we're bringing in sleep specialists because we know that, especially for leaders at the highest levels, having all the support that they can get is really important. And we want to make sure that we have folks who are aligned to the leaders that we want to support and make the job of finding or building your leadership team or your executive board really easy. So that's one thing that we're centered on, is building that collective at Consciously. The other thing is we are in the phase where we're focused on client creation. We know that this mission that we're on won't happen by itself, right? And we want to find other leaders who feel aligned to this mission to join us. I consider our clients and the coaches all a part of this collective that is going to co-create a new future. And so if you're out there and that sounds fun and exciting and you want something different or you want to see the world move in a different direction, then Consciously would be a great place for you to connect to because we're on that path as we speak.
It's a great story and one that I'm happy and privileged to bring to my audience. But that being said, Kayvon, so if somebody wants to follow up and they do want to learn more, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the first place would be to check out consciously.one. That's our website. It's consciously.one. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. It's probably the easiest way to get a direct connection. So find me at KVON space TUCKER. It's Kayvon Tucker on LinkedIn. Easy to find there. You'll see me sharing lots of perspectives on leadership and many of the things that we talked about today.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of those links in the show notes so that our team or our audience can just click on the links and head right on over and check you out. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, engaging with an episode of the platform overall, we're all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and having them share their mission, the reason behind their mission, really why they do what they do, their passion, and what we can all learn from that. The whole point of Mission Matters is to create a platform that we can all learn and benefit from and grow together. If that sounds like an interesting thing to you, we welcome you. Hit that subscribe button because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Kayvon, really, it has been a pleasure. Until the next time, really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.